Hey YouTube, how's it going? The Comic Chief here, and today I'm going to be trying something new this week. I know I won't have time to review every book every week, or every book ever, but I'm going to be at least hitting up my favorite books when I can. So I do have to say that I didn't pick up Boom's Buffy #1 on Wednesday, but I definitely went back when I saw the positive Reddit post about it. So here we go. Boom Studios released this first issue on January 23rd, 2019. It was a long time and an ongoing series on Dark Horse. Hell, I had season 8 and the first few issues of season 9. It was good, but it wasn't that good. It wasn't good enough for me to go back and get the rest of them. I think they went through to season 12. So yeah, I'm a day one fan from the movie to the TV series. It was a great show, great movie. I loved it. This title is issued Welcome to the Hellmouth. It was written by Jordi Belair. So I've seen a lot of her work on books as a colorist, but not too familiar with her writing. Dan Mora illustrated the book. So the main cover was drawn by Matthew Taylor. I almost got that one at my LCS, but they didn't have any of the variant covers, and I just want to take a look. So I went to another LCS, and they are pretty big on the independent books. So I found one by Kevin Wada. Kevin Wada is one of my favorite artists, and it's my goal to get this comic book signed at the next con I see him at. So yeah. The issue's opening pages take place with Buffy Summers working at a fast food restaurant known as Tuniverse. And she's obviously bored at the job, and in the first few panels we find out that she just spent her summer, or part of her summer, in Los Angeles and was alone with no friends in what she refers to as a small town. She clearly yearns for the city life. So as she goes on a break at work, she happens to be outside when a young couple gets attacked by vampires. The art is pretty great. There's a panel of her kicking a vampire and blood gushes from his face from her powerful kick, and yeah, it's drawn really well. She battles a vampire and stakes him in the heart. At this point, I have no idea about this comic, and I wasn't sure if it was an origin story of sorts or a continuation of the television series or the Dark Horse series, but yeah, I still don't know. But what I do know is that Buffy is in control of her abilities as a vampire slayer and able to take care of her own and save people. So the two people she just saved happen to be Xander and Willow. So this is not a continuation of this series. Xander and Willow are not dating, and they have no idea that things go bump in the night. And yeah, as Buffy goes back to work like nothing out of the ordinary happened, we get to our 2-page spread of the book's opening credits. So immediately I was wowed. One thing that I truly love is the opening statement at the top of that title page. In whoever generation a slayer is born, a chosen one, they alone will will the strength and skill to fight the vampires, demons, and the forces of darkness to stop the spread of their evil and the swell of their number. They are the Slayer. Okay. It brings back memories of when I used to watch the show with my mom as a young teenager. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to know anything about the lore in the TV show or anything like that whatsoever. So to me, this is a very great jumping on point, and I have full trust in Boom Comics. With the way they took care of the Power Rangers IP, I think they'll do good with this, and it kind of makes me want to get the Firefly comics now. And I think Joss Whedon, the creator of Buffy, I think he'd be pretty proud. So as we continue the series, we find Buffy attending school at Sunnydale High School, and we begin with Xander and Willow wanting to confront her of the events that happen outside of the Tuniverse. I think the relationship between Xander and Willow is pretty great. Again, they're not dating, but they seem to be the best of friends. They follow Buffy as she walks through the school and into the library, and they storm in as they interrupt a conversation between Buffy and the librarian. The librarian is a straightforward and serious man. Xander and Willow make it known that Buffy saved them the night before, and the librarian lets it be known that Buffy has only been in Sunnydale for 3 weeks and already blew her cover as a Slayer. Furthermore, we learn that the librarian's name is Giles. He shoos Willow and Xander away, has a private conversation with her, and scolds her. So I actually found this writing to be the most important in the book because it establishes that Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, is a vampire slayer, but she just wants to be a normal girl with a normal life, with normal friends, and that she feels a lot of pressure from Giles. She makes it a point that she's just a teenage girl and that the way that Giles was treating her was with soul-crushing pressure to overachieve. I mean, if I was a vampire slayer, I'm sure I would feel the weight of the world on my hands. So we cut to Buffy at her home, reading a comic book in her bedroom with a world history textbook as the dust jacket. As her mom comes in and catches her in the act, she tells her to go to bed. I think this page is just as important as the one before because it shows that Buffy is young at heart and can escape to a world of comics just to relax. I love it. We can relate to her. So yeah, she slays vampires, but she still plays by her mom's rules, who's unaware of her nightlife, and she goes to bed when she's told to, or so we think. So we cut to panels, and she wakes up in a cemetery on top of a gravesite because she's exhausted from her day life and her nightlife, and she wakes up to vampires attacking her. She's able to slay one, but when she stakes the other in the heart, he doesn't turn to dust. Before she can finish the fight, the vampire tells her live to fight another day and leaves her in the cemetery. We follow him walking through the town's empty streets and into a shop filled with weapons, books, and strange taxidermied creatures. We find a blonde-haired woman sitting behind a desk waiting for the vampire, and we learn that she deals with magic, maybe dark magic, and she houses many items that are used to make the impossible possible. The reason the vampire didn't die when he was staked was because of a locket he was wearing that could make him immortal. She poisons the vampire and he melts to ashes. So there's blood in this, which is actually really cool, but then it turns into ashes. So could she be the big baddie for Buffy the Vampire Slayer? This story? The next morning, Buffy meets with Giles and tells him about the locket. He's fascinated with the drawing that Buffy gave him, and he tells her to go to class. We cut to Buffy sitting in class, and she gets a note from Willow asking her to hang out with her and Xander, and then we immediately cut to a movie night. It's like a normal life. When Buffy tells them that vampires exist, they laugh in disbelief and hysteria. However, Buffy makes it clear and lays it all out. She's a slayer, she kills vampires, and all of a sudden Willow and Xander know of a world that also includes demons, ghosts, werewolves, and witches. She continues to tell them that Giles is her watcher, and there's a reason why he's strict and he's like a father figure, I guess, but more like her coach. So once again, it is clear that Buffy just wants to be a normal teenager. We cut back to the mysterious blonde woman and find she is mailing ancient relics to Wolferman Hart, and that her name is Anya. As she's watching TV, a woman in the shadows pays her a visit. And we don't get a full look at her at first, and these panels were really drawn well. We just see two glowing eyes before we cut to the final page of a redhead vampire with a sinister face and the words "to be continued" at the bottom. So all in all, this first issue was solid. It's a pretty good and a great jumping on point for anyone, whether they are fans of the comic or the TV show or the movie or not. I can't not be biased because I already know who the characters are or were in the TV show, and there are a couple of more pages that just shows that there's a lot of care that goes into this. So like the marketing team, the fans, there's even a Sentinel section. I don't know. So whether this comic series sucks or fails, it's gonna have a lot of love. Like I said in the beginning, Buffy is in good hands with Boom Comics. I've seen it with Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So onto my rating of this comic. The art, it was fantastic. It was great. Win. The writing was perfect for a first issue. It doesn't feel like an origin story or a retelling or rehashing, but it feels like it had a perfect balance for old and new fans. There will be plenty of time in future issues to set everything up. The plot was cool. So we have a young teenager with the weight of the world on her shoulders, but she's still trying to live a normal life. She's like a Clark Kent with work, school, family, and newfound friends. So this leads me into the character development. This is a nice setup for Buffy Summers, and it will be great to see what adventures await her. Yeah. So the comic is $3.99, which I guess is a new standard. With no digital code and just 22 pages of story, I don't know if it's worth that $3.99 price, but I guess the paper it's printed on, it's actually really nice. There's a glossy look to it, and the pages with heavy black don't look wrinkled like we sometimes see in Marvel comics. So for $3.99, it's okay, but I do wish there were digital codes, and yeah, I may be adding this to my pull list. So this was a 5 out of 5 for me. Boom doesn't disappoint. So let me know in the comment section below, YouTube, what do you think? And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks. This is the Comic Chief going offline.